Namibia is open since the 1st of September. And for international travelers, however, in the beginning of September, there were not really the possibilities to come and make use of these open borders because there were no flights. But that changed, obviously, by the 11th of September, when the first flight of Ethiopian landed. And then, of course, on the 19th, when the first flight of Lufthansa Group flew out of Europe. So, yeah, we did a little bit of a survey during the last months with all those consumers that reached out for us by telephone or by email. And we had this little questionnaire of, when it comes to Namibia in these days, what are actually the terms that come to their minds at the very first place? And we gave them kind of a selection of words and impressions. And I give it now to you in right that order that those consumers were answering that question. And the very first meaning that they would put into relation to Namibia was vastness. And that is, of course, in these days, 100% sales argument for us and for each and everybody who is selling travel to a consumer, that vastness and this natural social distancing, although I don't like this word because social and distance, that doesn't really fit together. But this vastness is something people are really longing for. In the very same vein actually goes this individual travel. That is also something that people put in regard with Namibia as a travel destination. That came on number 2, that this individual travel experience, being on a journey, being on an adventure, is something that they put in regard with Namibia very closely. Again, something that we can really nicely use also now in terms of communication and making people wanting to come. Oh, sorry, that was too fast. Beautiful landscapes, that was put on number 3, and only then came safari, which I believe is perfect because Namibia, we don't communicate Namibia as a safari destination in the first place. So it seems that this got through the market, that Namibia in the first place is an experience of beautiful and contrasting landscapes plus wildlife. So that safari only came in place 4 and not earlier. But also here, of course, with these kind of imagery, we got the feeling that we can get people back to considering a trip to long-haul destinations with all these barriers that might be out there at the moment. Yeah, a beautiful picture. I know everybody knows this picture. Mowani, beautiful camp, and this term of exclusivity was mentioned then by the consumers now as well. And then another term that people got consider with Namibia very nicely is sundowner, and so that is why I'm so happy to have everybody here around our virtual campfire for a sundowner. I mean, over here in Germany, we only have it now 3:10. However, as it is autumn time, sun is setting early. So I believe we can shift this sundowner time a bit to an earlier stage. So I have my bottle of Windhoek Lager beer already open, by the way. Yeah, what changed over the last weeks in terms of getting into Namibia from the source markets, German-speaking Europe and the Benelux? From the German-speaking markets, of course, there was very positive news coming this way, saying that the respective ministries and organizations now do not list Namibia anymore on this list of risk countries. So that means returning from a trip from Namibia back to a German to Germany, an Austrian to Austria, and a Swiss to Switzerland, they don't need to go into a quarantine anymore automatically. It was before the case that you had to quarantine yourself, but Namibia was now put down from that red list and put onto a green list. This is now with regards to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. When it comes to the Netherlands, yesterday I was last time on that page. Actually, I was there this morning again as well. That Namibia is still on that orange list. I believe in Netherlands it is not red but an orange listing, and there only a few countries are exempt, like for example Australia, Japan, New Zealand, Rwanda, Singapore, South Korea, Thailand, Uruguay, and China.
But Canada was now, for example, taken down from that list, and Tunisia as well. So Namibia, unfortunately, in the Netherlands is not green listed. So it means still coming back here, you need to consider this quarantine regulation. Talking about Belgium now, also here, Namibia is not on the green list, but the area Namibia is red. So they have a fancy a map of the world with all the countries being in. And when you click on Namibia, Namibia as such still is seen as a red listed destination. So that means also for Belgium's a quarantine would be applicable when returning from a trip to Namibia. All right. Talking about the flight connections. As said this morning, I was talking to the lady that we have regular contact with at the Lufthansa Group. As you know, Eurowings, being part of the Lufthansa Group, is serving the Windhoek route on a non-stop flight from Frankfurt these days with a Brussels Airlines airplane. But with Eurowings colors and under the Lufthansa Group umbrella. So it's a bit confusing, but in the end, it's an A330 with 3-class configuration, business class, premium economy, and a normal economy. And in the end, it doesn't matter. What is it now? Lufthansa Group, is it Eurowings, or is it a Brussels plane? They get you there, and that's the most important thing. So actually, that is the service that is used nicely. These days, one can be happy if a plane is booked by 50%. Normally, for an airline, this is not a good number. It's hard to break even with such a load factor. But these days, with the Corona times, 50% is, yeah, you can regard this as a kingdom. It's 3 times a week at these days that the Frankfurt-Windhoek route is served. But I know that they consider a 4th flight per week as from next year. All right, of course, with the Lufthansa Group, you have the feeder connections into Frankfurt Airport from the Benelux and from the German-speaking markets. Then, of course, there is the Ethiopian service as from the 11th of September when they landed for the first time in Windhoek. It is a flight 4 times a week coming from Addis Ababa into Windhoek. Now we've got flights from Frankfurt, Geneva, Vienna, and Brussels with Ethiopian to Addis Ababa. So not each of these 4 flights per week from Addis Ababa are met by a service that comes from one of those European cities. I can just give you the example from Frankfurt. There is 3 connections per week in the system with Frankfurt, Addis Ababa, Windhoek. But in total, out of Addis, it is 4 flights. Yeah, and those are the cities, the airports in Europe that are serving, that are served by Ethiopian here through Addis into Windhoek. All right, and then that's a bit slow. And then, of course, Airlink. I felt it is worthwhile mentioning this one as well. Just because Airlink is now holding these interline agreements with Emirates and with Qatar. So it means on one ticket, you have the service from wherever Emirates and Qatar is flying in the world into Windhoek through Cape Town or through Johannesburg. Cape Town at the moment, Airlink is serving 4 times a week, Cape Town Windhoek, and Johannesburg Windhoek is served once a week. As mentioned, it is a regional airline. I only mention this one because of these interline agreements with Emirates and with Qatar, which makes it then possible to book through into Windhoek from wherever Emirates and Qatar are flying. All right. Good. Entering Namibia. Well, as you know, and this is now something I do not love to, but I have to copy this kind of terms all the time. It is a very dynamic scenario at the moment. Dynamic in translated into clear language means nobody really knows. Yeah, it changes sometimes each week. So those informations that we can share with you today might change tomorrow or might change next week, and hopefully do not change too quickly again. But for the status quo just now, these are the information that are
applicable. So the international travelers go through Windhoek International Airport. That is the point of entry. I read just recently that also Walvis Bay is a point of entry for international travelers. But when it comes to Europeans coming from Benelux or from German-speaking markets, yeah, it is actually Windhoek International Airport that needs to be considered. When I talk about German-speaking markets, of course, I do include Switzerland, although I know that Switzerland is not only German-speaking, but just to have a short term and not mentioning all countries, it is just now the term that I would choose, German-speaking markets for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Then something that is often requested in terms of further details, what is it with this COVID test? There is the need for a PCR test. It needs to be a PCR test. There is a regular PCR test that takes a few days until you get your result, but there also is a quick PCR test, as long as it is a PCR test. Because there's many different tests out there at these stages, and there's other quick tests that give you a result within 15 minutes or so, but that is not a PCR test. That is just this quick test. The PCR express test that you can do, for example, at the airport, at least takes 5 hours. But that is, of course, much shorter than 2 days or 1 day or 24 hours that a regular COVID test, PCR test takes normally. Another aspect that is often asked is the 72 hours. Is it now from swab till arrival, or is it from the swab till boarding, or is it from getting my test results until arrival and so on and so forth? No, it is these 72 hours start counting as soon as you have done your swab at the doctor's office or at the airport clinic, and it is until arrival. So not till boarding, but till arrival. There is a communique or press release by the Ministry of Health and Social Services that was published on the 22nd of October that also highlights this again. Then important, the result needs to be, the statement needs to be in English language. Yeah, normally these laboratories, they do offer different languages. You can have it in Chinese, or you can have it in English, in French, in Spanish, wherever in the world you want to travel. So it comes with an additional cost. As far as I know, here at Frankfurt Airport, for example, it does cost another 17 euros to have it translated into English, but it is definitely possible to get that. Then travelers still must present a full travel plan. So it must be a pre-booked, arranged trip. And it must be Namibia Tourism Board registered accommodations. Well, but that is a given, and with classic camps, you are 100% in the best hands. So there you can be assured. Completed health questionnaires, yeah, those 2 papers you also still need. And you need to have them completed and ready to hand in upon immigration, together with your passport and your this other piece of paper, which is this visa on arrival. So those 2 forms you need to complete and have ready to give to the immigration people at Windhoek Airport. Yeah, and a travel health insurance is also advised. There is COVID insurances. I know that from market to market that is different. I know that Austrians and Germans, they can buy an extra insurance for COVID-related costs. For example, you need to change your booking because you were tested positive suddenly, or you have to go into quarantine, that these insurances would then cover the extra costs of your quarantine. But a travel health insurance, a regular travel health insurance, like also in the pre-corona times, that is the one that would take care of all costs, also with regards to a corona treatment in a hospital. However, with insurance companies, you always need to check if any of those 2 are really, can I mention now, do really serve you in case that you go to a country that is red listed. So at this very stage, for Germans, Austrians, and Swiss travelers, both insurances would actually work out because we are no more listed with a travel warning. But for Dutch and Belgian travelers, I believe with these health and COVID insurances, one should rather double check. All right, then in terms of updates, regular updates, we do have on our website, www.namibia-tourism.com, we do have our Corona ticker. So we put everything that is of relevance to travelers and to tourism sales, trade, anything that is of relevance we put on here. And if you like, please follow this ticker. We are also happy by telephone or by email to receive your questions, whatever it is. We try to find a solution. Sometimes we need to consult the embassy. Sometimes we rather do not. And this is now the German page, but as you see, there's a little Union Jack up here on the left-hand side. Then that would lead you to our English page, and that is then in connection with the head office website, where also the latest information, press releases, statements by president or whatsoever is installed, so that you can have a look into that. Yeah, all in all, that is it from my side, and I'm now very curious to listen to our partners from Namibia. These Namibia campfires, we are trying to start kind of a series here with our digital sundowner. So stay tuned. Maybe next month we have another good round of people, but it will be hard to match what we have today, because this group that we're having today, I'm convinced this is super exciting. So thank you very much. That was it from my side.
Thank you very much, Matthias. I'm trying to focus here on what I'm doing. Bildschirmteilen, now I can't see my here. Bildschirmpräsentation, aktueller Folie. Okay, are we good to go? Do you see my screen, everybody? Thank you, Leon.
Yes.
A thumbs up. Right, obviously this is quite nerve-wracking, and I have to say that because what you learn when you do professional communication, that it's not a bad idea to actually talk about your emotions, because it actually calms you down. So I'm doing this very moment here. Good afternoon to all of you. For those of you who don't know, my name is Hella Goebel from Sabela, Africa. Most of you will know that Namibia is actually my home country. And with that, obviously, there comes a lot of passion. And with that passion and enthusiasm, I represent the Classic Namibia group to the Benelux and to the German-speaking markets. And so it is my absolute pleasure to take you through this afternoon and to tell you what Classic Namibia was up to whilst we were in the middle of this pandemic, and still are, sadly, and the way we are going to move forward. First of all, I would like to welcome everybody of the industry. Yeah, you are our guests today. We've got Austria with us, we've got Belgium with us, we've got Switzerland with us, we've got the Netherlands and Germany with us. Some of you, those out there, have walked with me together for nearly 20 years. Some of you have become very, very personal friends. So my work often feels like I'm moving within a circle of friends. So thank you very much. Thank you also to Namibia Tourism Board, Matthias, and I believe Maureen is actually signed in from Namibia as well. Thank you for being with us, Maureen. I really, really appreciate that. Matthias, thank you for inspiring and initiating this afternoon. I'd also like to show my gratitude to ASA, the Association of Tourism to Southern and Eastern Africa, and Petra Gata for leading us and lending us your time and hosting us with the Zoom meeting on the ASA account. As I mentioned before, this webinar will be recorded, and we will have the recording online on our YouTube channel of Classic Namibia, and we'll provide you with the link in our SharePoint. Coming to the SharePoint, as a follow-up to this meeting in the next few days, Amelia and I, my colleague, Amelia is signed in from Kimberley. So we've got a global team here. We will send you this SharePoint, which will give you access to all the galleries, to all the rack rates, to all the fact sheets, and also to information in German. And if there's, and obviously COVID policies, etc. If there's anything you know, please, our door is always open, and please contact us. Right, now I think it's high time that we meet Classic Namibia. What an opportunity to actually meet all the owners of Classic Namibia. This is very, very seldom that this happens. Some of them are very shy and some of them are very humble, but it is my absolute honor to have all of you with us this afternoon. Who is Classic Namibia? Well, Classic Namibia is a marketing association of like-minded lodge owners with lodges in some of the most scenic locations of Namibia. So at any stage, a good choice for your Namibia itinerary. But what really makes this group stand apart, and I feel it every single day I work with Classic Namibia, is the strong-willed characters, the endless passion you have for Namibia, for your lodges, and for your teams. I would like to actually call you the visionaries of the bush, and I've often done so, and I think it is true and valid. I'm very honored to introduce Anita and Wilfred Slaney from Ochimbondona. We have enthusiastic Dusty and Tinola Rogers from African Monarch Lodges with us. Can you wave? Well, they will see you later. I'm not seeing you now at the moment. Then from Onguma Nature Reserve, there's Fritz Foster with us, who you will never see at a fair. So treasure the moment, and thank you for sharing that with us. We have Marco Ferrero from the Okahirongo Lodges, tuned in from Italy somewhere. We do have Stefan Horst Hemke from the Shiwani Safari Lodges. Then we've got, well, everybody knows him, Leander Borg from Swakopmund Guest House, and definitely, definitely not least, sorry, you know what I'm trying to say, Stefan Brückner from Walderdans. Okay. As we go along, everybody can basically unmute themselves, or sorry, go mute and go non-visual, except for Anita and Wilfred now, if you want to. We have 3 travel trends which are apparent in the market. The first of them is small and boutique lodges and camps, klein und fein, as we say here in Germany. And Matthias has highlighted some of these elements already. The second major trend we see developing on the market is slow travel. Reise mit Weile, nicht mit Eile. So rather less destination, travel slower and spend more time in each lodge. All of the Classic Namibia camps and lodges have got a 3-night stay option available already, very often on the rate sheets. Some Classic Namibia members, and you hear more of this later, are working on retreat options of actually staying 7 nights or so. And 2 of them already now regard themselves suited as a remote work destination. A trend which is developing as we speak. People are getting tired of being inside of Europe and actually look for locations where they can work online from either Namibia or wherever. And the third trend is sustainability during travel. And it is most certainly that all of the members of Classic Namibia are actually walking the talk, and there is no group that fulfills all these requirements better than Classic Namibia. We are here meeting as on a Zoom webinar, as COVID has actually rocked our world, every single one of us, for us and to the whole tourism industry. But let me haste to say that Classic Namibia has teamed up to create a group COVID protocol with preventative measures, social distancing, safari distancing, and obviously we also have all the medical emergencies in place, just in case something happens whilst the guest is at the lodge. All this you will also find in the SharePoint, which you will send out tomorrow. All of the members of Classic Namibia have trained their teams and their staff accordingly, and the medical procedures are in place. Okay, I think it is time that we start our journey. So we are starting with Anita and Wilfried. Are you online? Can we hear you? Can we see you? Wilfried, can you just
Can you hear us?
Okay, good, good.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Right.
Okay.
So during COVID times, a new member, wow, what happened? Until so far, not everybody actually in the big industry knows you yet, because we haven't had time to talk about you at ITB. We all know what happened to ITB, yet there are some boutique tour operators that know you already. Let's welcome Anita and Wilfried Slaney to Classic Namibia and to the Benelux and the Dach market. Anita and Wilfried, you're just 80 kilometers south of Musea Kotako in the Kalahari. Tell us about where you are and what you are about. Over.
We are losing. The echo coming through. Can you hear us? Your internet connection is unstable. We get the message. Can you hear us?
Yes, but speak loud and clear, as loud as you possibly can, Wilfried.
All right. Yeah. The question was: we are on the edge of the Kalahari. We are not very far from Hosea Kotako Airport. So, in essence, that makes us an ideal destination when people arrive in Namibia to sort of first relax and unwind before they proceed on the journey in Namibia, or alternatively, likewise at the end of the trip. But apart from that, I think we are in a nice setting, in a nice scenery, and it's a good place for people to just come and unwind and enjoy space and time in the Kalahari.
Okay, Wilfried, I hear you slightly biased, but I give credit to that. I think that's your fullest right to be slightly biased. I see the plains of the Kalahari, the wide open spaces. My childhood memory brings up Kalahari truffles and fantastic grass landscapes. And when I see this picture, this airplane landing on this grass strip, my heart just takes a beat, another beat. And it is so much Africa. And I so much wish I could just be there and be in this aircraft, although I'm scared of flying. But tell us what are the options? How can you actually reach Otjimondona?
Generally, we find that when people do arrive in Windhoek and they are self-driving, it's the easiest to actually pick up the vehicle in Windhoek or at the airport and then drive out directly to us. Should they be on a guided or a company tour, then it's probably also easier to self-drive out. But the aircraft makes it easy to travel onwards from here. So if you have a journey which includes the typical classic Namibia camps, then starting with the plane from here is the ideal way of doing it. But yeah, the aircraft is also here at the lodge, and it is available for daily scenic flights or for transfers to any other destination, just as the guests may wish. So we often have that if people stay for longer, that they may want to do an excursion to any particular place, whether it's Sossusvlei or whether it's Swakopmund or whatever. So there are various options where it can be used usefully for any trip.
Okay, and I think from Otjimondona, it's also very easy to continue travel to the south then and towards the Sossusvlei area. What a wonderful house. I always dreamt I could have such a house, such a farmhouse. It looks just fantastic. Big verandas, magic trees. Yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about Otjimondona.
Yes, the original Otjimondona house was used by my grandparents who lived and farmed here. But when my parents got married, the place essentially got abandoned and was sort of left to dilapidate to a large extent. When we came to the farm, we thought it's a pity because it's on a very nice setting on top of a hill, and you've got big and great vistas, 360 degrees right around. And so we tried to think where and how could we, incorporate tourism into this, and we came up with the idea of building a lodge with just 4 villas, so it's an exclusive destination in the sense that we do not have many people here. I think that in these times is suitable also for people that just want to get away from the masses. There's a bit of a social distancing automatically, but we are there to provide the social bit as well. So yeah, it's exclusive for few people in a sort of unspoiled Kalahari setting.
Okay, in the past few days, we've actually discussed, Wilfred, that you could also be a remote work destination. You've got the airport very close by. You have Windhoek very close by, and maybe not this afternoon, but your internet is quite okay. And the swimming pool is enticing. So if you're tired of working, one could just nip into the swimming pool. I believe there's a gym too.
Yes, that's correct. So the 4 villas that we have, each has their own little plunge pool, and then we have got the manor house where there's a separate area which includes the gym, and then there's obviously a pool here as well. Internet is fairly good. It does from time to time, as it does in Namibia, have its on and off days, but by and large it works good, and I think it's a workstation that can be used people that want to do it away from home.
4 villas only. That is fantastic. And they really look spacious to me. And I see an outside pool there too. I'd love to come and stay. What about your dining facilities?
Sorry, the dining facilities, we are very flexible. We generally host the people at the manor house, where we have either a combined table. In the pre-COVID days, this was what could be done, but now there are 4 separate tables that we can set. Also outside we have a barbecue or braai facility where we can, under the stars, offer them a typical braai evening, and then we can also present dinner at various locations around the property, which could include the private villa as well.
Okay, Wilfred and Anita, tell me, what have cows got to do with bat-eared foxes?
Yeah, we are still a farming operation as well, and in these days it has actually come in quite handy, and that the tourism leg has come to a standstill, and at least farming has kept business going to some extent. Last year it was the other way around when we were in a drought situation. So at the moment we are enjoying the bat-eared foxes ourselves without the tourists and the cows to keep the business going.
Thank you. What about the Sabela and your activities, in general your activities? And if I'm not mistaken, you've taken the time of COVID to build a spa?
Yes, we are building. Previously, we did the massage and the spa mostly in the villas of the clients, but we actually thought that it'd be better to have a separate facility, and we are busy with that. There's a facility that will be open with canvas closing side panels, so you have the feeling of being out in nature, but still in privacy. So that is an optional activity or massage. Apart from that, it's typically game drives, game walks. We do have fat bikes that people can use to explore the area themselves. And then, as we've mentioned before, there's the plane that can be used for various outings, depending on the length of time that people are here or what they might want to see as well.
Sounds all great. Sounds as if I want to come and visit. You were one of the first ones to be accredited, actually. So I guess your team on the way to work is ready and you're all set up to go?
Excellent. Yeah, we are ready, and we would be very happy to welcome the guests that are ready to travel from Europe to come and visit. We are ready to welcome them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anita and Wilfred. I'll let you walk off into a COVID-free future. Thank you very much for joining us. And I am now welcoming African Monarch Lodges, Dusty and Tunola. Shall we just give them a second to sign on?
Hello.
To the most northeastern part of Namibia, and I'm extending a very warm and hearty welcome to Captain Caprivi, Dusty, and just as enthusiastically to Tanola. Thank you for joining us and being with us this afternoon.
Thanks, Helen.
This picture actually just oozes wildlife already, an authenticity which we have in the Zambezi region. I just find it great. Dusty and Sabela, tell us, what is so magic about your location? And I don't know, do you actually see my mouse? You're right on the Kwanda, where the Kwanda cuts through the Zambezi region of Namibia. Over to you, Dusty and Tanola.
That's right, Hela. I think what makes us so, our location so unique is that you can access us from the greater part of Namibia, as well as linking us to a Botswana itinerary or a Vic Falls or Zambian itinerary. So, getting us from, or having your guest tour from Namibia and then traveling through the Zambezi region, and then staying with us for, we're also one of those destinations that you can spend 3 to 4 nights, even 5, 7 nights, because of the varied activities that we offer, both land and water-based. And now with the addition of our Sidgwa project, there's really a very great variety of conservation and community activities that's on offer. And then traveling through from our lodge through to either the Chobe or then Vic Falls. So it really is a unique location.
Going through COVID now and coming out of it, and with the new focus, you are basically focusing on 2 properties, Tanola and Dusty.
Yeah, we have Number Lodge, the Number Tent Lodge, the Lagoon Camp, and Kazile. We also have a campsite at Number, which we now, I suppose, one of the most exciting benefits we received, news we received during this period, was that we got permission from the Ministry of Environment and Tourism to move the campsite away from Number. So we've been given another concession a little bit deeper into the park on its own very special lagoon called Long Lagoon. This is about 2 kilometers away from Number. So we'll be moving the campsite there. And yeah, that'll now give Number the exclusivity it deserves again. It'll just be the lodge there.
That is actually great news. I think the market has been waiting for that. They often thought that the campsite close to the Number Tented Lodge does a little bit of damage to the exclusivity of Number. So this is really, really great news. We see a little bit of Kazile here and the water worlds, which reminds us of the Okavango Delta. And Tanola, there was a moment during the COVID time when you realized no matter what and no matter what hardship COVID brings on you, African monarch lodges will always belong to you and Dusty. I remember that moment. It was you and I in a conversation, and you are going to fight for it and its survival. In fact, you even have your private home up there. Tell us about your bond.
I think, Hela, Dusty's been in that area for so long, and he's built these lodges all by himself, with a team that's been moving with him since Islands days. And Kazile was certainly, a dream come true, and it was that one lodge. I only joined in 2015 when Number opened. And so Kazile was a Number Lagoon Camp, and the last 4 rooms of Number was the properties that we built and decorated together. And the fact that our home is there, half our life is spent at the lodges. So some of it, half the month in Windhoek and half the month at the lodges. So, and also, it's our life. It's our passion. We train our staff ourselves. We recruit them ourselves. We operationally involved on a day-to-day basis. And so yes, we live and breathe this, and we're certainly going to make sure that it stands through COVID. And then with the development of the Sidgwa project, which I'll talk about later, That's going to be our legacy that we leave behind once our concession ends here with Namibia and Kazile, long after it's ended.
Wow, that is a fantastic bonding. And whilst not every guest might actually see the two of you, we know that there is a very, very special bond between the owners and the African Monarch Lodges. So with all the passion and all you do, you have become creative during COVID as well. And Dusty moved back to being a builder himself. Dusty, what did you build there?
This is another private dining deck that we built slightly away from the main complex, but it also overlooks the waterhole. Yeah, and it's for special occasions, mainly for, you know, private dining.
I think any occasion is special. I can't wait to sit there. Tanola, you want to say something?
Yeah, what also makes this little deck special is that we ensure that it is, you know, like a picnic. So we walk you up to your little deck, and this is is ideal for COVID because everything is arranged prior to you actually arriving at the deck. So we'll lay out your meal, you'll have your ice bucket with the wine or the gin and tonic or whatever it is that you would wish to have during your meal, so that you are totally undisturbed and on your own with no service, but everything at your fingertips. And the view is just phenomenal.
And the private picnics?
Those, you know, with what we also, if you go to the next slide, you can actually show the people the private picnics. So our staff take great delight in actually creating these little magical moments, and we'll pack a vehicle with every little piece of equipment that's required and the food items and the beverages again, and go and set these picnics up for our guests to enjoy. And it's that typical goosebump wow moment that we create, and that we really well known for, and also that our entire team enjoys actually creating for our guests.
Thank you, Tanola. What Dusty and you, what do you think is the greatest offering within African Monarch Lodges?
I think the single most and probably main one is that we are experience driven. Yes, we've got luxury lodges and beautiful lodges, and we know wonderful location. But as I said previously, we want to ensure that every single activity that we take our guests on is an experience for them, and that we ensure that you know, we make sure that this whole conservation and the sustainable thread runs through every activity. So it's definitely experience driven, and COVID has allowed us to just stop, breathe, think, rethink, replan, and just look at how we do everything and just enhance it. And after that comes training before all our guests come back to reintroduce everything to our team.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you're one of the few ones who actually retained all your staff during COVID until this very moment. Take my hat off to that.
Yeah, Hella, we have.
Yeah, I think it was one of our biggest aims was not to retrench anybody and to keep everybody. As you said earlier, we've been operating in that area since 1993. So a lot of these people have been with us for over 20 years. And, you know, we've trained them ourselves as well. So we have a very special bond with everybody, and we didn't want to see COVID ruin their lives. And remembering that in these remote areas and these community areas, that it's estimated that one employee in the lodge will feed up to 12 people in their village. So it's really important that we don't lose anybody over this period.
Through your own life experience, you found inspiration, you found strength, and you've got a very clear vision as to how you want to go forward. What is your new concept?
It's healing retreats and yoga retreats and self-discovery retreats that we wish to set up especially at Namibia, well, mainly at Namibia. You know, Namibia have 7 of the 10 majestic trees just in that little environment, in that little area where the 10 rooms are. And so there's a lot of energy, and we have such wonderful landscapes and spaces that we can use for these retreats. And so our focus is, you know, Dusty's going to once again build, so he's going to build a yoga deck that hangs over the Kwando River towards, once the campsite moves, hangs over the Kwando River, and we can offer yoga out there. But also the idea is to have guests go and do yoga at Long Lagoon, at Horseshoe, creating these settings for them. And so it's about mindful travel. You know, COVID has had us just, again, stop and think and focus on what we need to make a priority, and that's really our health and our lives and each other, and finding ourselves again. So this area, this region, with its water, with its trees, with the wildlife around it, definitely lends itself to healing retreats, and that is what we want to focus on, and creating it, whether it's within 7 days or 10 days. So our agents can block out 10, you know, a selection of dates at Nambwa and fill them themselves, or book into our retreats. And then we bring up energy healers or various healing modality practitioners up, and it becomes a complete holistic program. So that when our guests, the intention is that when they leave Nambwa, when they leave the Zambezi region, they are completely transformed, and they go back relaxed and having joy in their souls again.
I see you even include your staff into that. I hear Bevan laugh. I hear him laugh when I look at these pictures.
Yes. That was during our retreat last year. And what we are planning to do in January next year, 2021, is get all our staff together. We have 3 of our practitioners that will take part in next year's 2 retreats. They're coming out, and we're going to get our entire team together, and they are going to experience one of the healing retreats. They're going to, you know, it's important that they understand what is actually going to happen, because it's very different to what we used to do. And then also, you know, just to bond and brainstorm on what we can do better, and have them being able to relate when these guests come, to say, okay, now they're standing in a tree pose, and understand exactly what that takes to do, and breathe, and also for them to get through COVID and you know, the stress that they have experienced during COVID, because it hasn't been easy for them. So it would be wonderful for them to just relax and be part of this team, and in a retreat like this as staff members, and be ready for when we host our first one in March.
Thank you very much, Tinola. My gut feeling tells me that we are lagging behind in time. And now we actually, although we're actually coming to the most important part of African monarch lodges. So I'm not going to talk a lot. Dusty and Tinola, please take over and please explain Sijwa project to us and to our guests.
The idea with Sijwa project was to recycle, repurpose every single waste item that comes out of our 2 lodges. The chief gave us a piece of land on the community side between the 2 lodges, so it is accessible by boat. And the idea here is to turn our glass into beads, whether it be bracelets or necklaces, our aluminium tin cans into an artifact that can be sold as well in the curio shops. Plastic, Dusty will talk later about that, where we're actually building with the plastic bottles. We're creating beehives, and that is really to get rid of, or to deal with the elephant and human wildlife conflict that exists in this area. As well as we also have a greenhouse, and that's to deal with the paper waste and the organic matter from the kitchen. And then we also have a junior ranger program that we still need to establish, and we already have the cultural and traditional village at the project. So herein lies a project that is created as an activity, maybe 2 to 2.5 hours long. That is an interactive experience for the guests, and they can even start creating make their own bracelet, or just grind their own glass, or whatever it may be.
This all sounds really, really incredible. But I see you've planted your own broccoli and you've got great intentions as to what you're going to do with your greenhouse and particularly the content.
Yeah, I mean, that is to, so that we also move towards a more nurturing meal for our guests and wholesome and healthy, and that we are reducing our carbon footprint. You know, we don't want to get these fresh produce either from Katima or all the way down from Windhoek. In the past, we were getting fresh produce from South Africa, and it just doesn't make sense. Eggs, our lodges, Namibia alone in high season goes through about 900 eggs a week. And we realize that it's just too much to be traveling up from Windhoek. So we now have our own chicken hatchery with laying their own eggs. So we feed organic, free-range eggs now to our guests on the breakfast buffets.
Knowing you and not expecting anything else from you, Tinola, you have even managed during COVID times to unleash another new project. Tell us about this.
So yes, COVID has brought this one on. This is the sewing project that's in fact being launched on Monday, when we have the Collective Boutique and Mihiso that sells the leather products here in Namibia. These two brands will be traveling up. They've donated sewing machines. They are sponsoring the training of these girls. We've started off hiring with 4 girls. We made sure there was a space enough for about 12 ladies eventually. And then the most exciting through the Collective Boutique is the fact that we have 2 of South Africa's top designers that have come on board. They've designed patterns or have created patterns, and in January and February, they'll be traveling up to the Zambezi and will be training our girls, women that have never worked before, on how to sew these garments, and then they will be sold in boutiques in South Africa, obviously in our curio shop, and back again in the Collective Boutique. And Mihiso has a branch in Germany. So for Mihiso, we're doing the glass beads and also sewing the bags, the consumer bag that the handbag gets placed into. So yes, it's very, very exciting, very new. And the girls, I mean, one of the girls that we've just hired is an orphan. So the opportunities that we're giving to this community through a project like this is just unreal.
I just hear there's another direct client connection, Matthias. We're going to go to Stuttgart and we're going to celebrate the handbags from Namibia, aren't we?
Good idea.
What are you doing there, Dusty?
Well, this is at the project. This is when we first started off. And we decided to build everything out of all the workshops, and any structures that we're building, we're going to now build out of the plastic bottles that we've collected from our lodges. So we take any old plastic that we can't get rid of and we push it into these bottles and then fill them up with sand and compact them. And then we use these to build the structures there. Obviously, because we're phasing out bottles in the lodges, we're going to run out of bottles soon as the project grows, but then our intention is to start cleaning up the community areas and start sourcing from the other surrounding lodges. Let them also bring their waste here to Sidra. So there you can see how we're building with the bottles.
This is incredible work done there, and you are really walking the talk, as Stefan Brückner from Walvedans always says, and you were definitely on the road to make this world a better place. We need you, Dusty and Tinola. Stay strong, stay passionate, and thank you for joining us. And we are moving over to Fritz Foster. Dusty and Tinola, yes, you can unmute. And Fritz, can I see you? Can I hear you, Fritz?
Yes, can you see me, Ella?
No, I can't. Now I can see you, and now I can hear you. All right. Fritz, welcome very much. Well, Ngoma certainly doesn't need no introduction. On the eastern side of Etosha, the only one with own land on the eastern side of Etosha. And I think, Fritz, you were one of the very first ones to realize that this, I mean, COVID is going to take longer and be nastier than any of us ever expected. You have been incredibly supportive of your teams, your international teams, your local teams, and I know you have gone through emotional and financial very, very difficult times also. But you're there for your business, and although you were distanced actually during most of the COVID, even now you are sitting in South Africa and you are not with your lodges and camps. Welcome to you, Fritz.
Thank you, Ella. Just the good news is I'm going up to the lodges on Monday, the 2nd. So
getting jealous. Yeah. Just a quick way how to reach Anguma, but I think all you know, easy drive from Windhoek, and just do not forget that Anguma has got its own, very own professional airstrip. Fritz, I know that you always put the brand of Anguma first, and that is why we don't see you at road shows, we don't see you at tourism fairs. But there's a very strong patriarch that is actually guiding you and behind Anguma. What is the inspiration you have from that person, and who's he?
I was actually joking earlier with Stefan. I said that's what I'm going to look like when this whole COVID thing is finished. Yeah, but jokes aside, that's my father.
Yeah. He looks great. I have not had the chance to meet him, but I know how inspirational he is to you and how you carry his message forward.
It is a bit emotional because he's terminally ill with cancer at the moment.
Fritz, I'm sorry to hear. I had the inclination that something was happening there.
But yes, he's been the guiding light, and a lot of the things that we've been doing at Anguma was was under his guidance, and it's not us. It's that clever. It's actually his foresight.
Yeah, I hear that. I feel that, and I wish you all the best for your family, Fritz. The whole world has gone camping in Europe, and I don't think there was a single camper that was still available to be bought. I'm sure Anguma has got a better offering than camping in the rainy forest in Germany or in the Netherlands somewhere. No offense, please, Marcello, Ingrid, whoever is there. Fritz, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm glad Leandro is there so he can see what a good campsite looks like. We try, for us camping is a lifestyle choice nowadays. It's not a choice to save money anymore. So we believe when you go camping, you want privacy. You want your own facilities. You don't want to sit next to a party bus or anything like that. And we've taken the view to build campsites. We would go camp ourselves. We're pretty picky campers. Yeah, and I think I can safely say that we've got some nice campsites, private facilities. What else would you want? I mean, that's I can't say more than that. The campsite at Tambourti, we've got a lovely restaurant area there. You sit in the restaurant, you look over the waterhole. The campsites we enclose, they are fenced just to make it safe for children. But it's still, the waterholes are normally open. There's free access to the waterholes, to things that bite and things that can hurt you at night. So yeah, we, as I said.
Yeah, what a wonderful restaurant to be in whilst you're actually camping. You couldn't believe it. We all know, and I think the trade knows, your lodges, the Anguma lodges and camps are very, very well known and very well respected in the market. And let us quickly move on. We're not really product focused as such. Just a quick reminder what Etosha Aoba looks like, very much more the traditional approach. Then we have Anguma Bush Camp, but something happened during Anguma Bush Camp whilst going towards the future. Not all of these kids are really quite in focus, I think, but what's happening there? I think the little one still needs to work a little bit on his bow exercise there.
That's my type of guy. That's the free spirit.
Yes.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time and effort, to try and get more involvement with children and to get them out of their parents' hair, so to speak. So we've developed a kiddies walk where they go on a little walk with a guide. It's all in the enclosed area, so it's safe. It's not outside in the real bush. And doing that, there's a whole bunch of activities that they can do, and that the guide would teach them how to make a bow and arrow and how to shoot it. Obviously, this little white guy, he's a European. He's not sure how the whole thing works. But once they've done the course, they're all in the same area generally. Yeah, so that it's just to get them out of the house, get them into the dirt and get them to do something in a safe environment.
That is why we send them to Anguma Bush Camp. Right. The next one, very much a favorite in my market too, is Anguma Tented Camp. We all love the product, beautiful pictures here, but what are you doing with these ugly boxes?
Those ugly boxes are the air conditioning units that we're installing at Tented Camp as we speak. They should be up and running where we now, the 1st of November, they're opening up, so they should be in place then. Yeah, and that'll take Tented Camp just to a different level. It's a bit of an experiment because it is quite hot there, and we're not sure how well they will work, but everyone that I spoke to, recommend them. And on that same point, if they work well there, we'll put them in the new treetop as well. So yeah, they're busy installing. I can actually hear them hammering away as we speak.
Fritz, if you say air condition, it doesn't always tickle all the nice bells in my market. So, but the evening breeze.
Yeah, just a bit of background on that. Essentially, what it is, it's a low energy consuming air conditioning unit, and it only cools down the area below your mosquito net, essentially on the bed. So it does not cool down the whole room. So if you lie on the bed, you'll have a cool environment. But the moment you get off the bed, you're back in Africa again.
Okay, I think that is a very important point to make for our market. Just a quick reminder of Anguma the Fort and maybe the massage parlor. Not everybody knows.
Yeah, we've started doing massages. At the moment, we've got 4 therapists doing massages. We've also opened up a massage room at Bush Camp, to be able to accommodate more guests. And it's really popular, the people enjoy that. And I think it fits in with the whole experience that you come to Anguma as well. It's a very relaxing environment.
Okay. Are we ready to move on, Fritz?
Yeah, I have to catch up because Tanola spoke so long. She spent all my time. So
no. Don't worry. Okay.
I'll be quick.
Once more. I'm sorry, Fritz. Red Cross through Anguma Treetop.
Yeah, Treetop burned down, as you probably know, 10 days ago. But we are busy. We will rebuild. It will essentially be the same character. It'll only be 4 rooms, but they will be more luxurious, and it will be better than the old Treetop. So yeah, and as I said, we will rebuild. We suspect it was an electrical fault. We had a lightning strike last December, and I think that we still had some damage in the wiring that we weren't aware of. So at the moment, it's a no-go zone, but we will have it up and running again.
I would just like to highlight the reeds here in the water hole. Just watch them as we move along to our guests. And Fritz, thank you for always having a great humor. So is this the way you treat your corona politicians in South Africa, in Namibia?
Yeah, no, that's actually German politicians we want to treat like that.
The German politicians fully agree with you.
Yeah, it's a bit of a victory jump that Jona, the reserve manager, did when he finally had managed to get rid of the reeds.
I just love that video.
That waterhole, there where he jumped, is probably about 7 meters deep, and so it's a scary waterhole. But yeah, we got rid of all the reeds. We brought the waterhole close to the lodge. I don't know if you have a picture further on the line, but the new waters, or so to speak. Yeah, but as I said, it's, yeah, you can see there, it's totally open. There are no reeds in it. But just so you know, this was the lounge area just before it burned down. These are the new rooms that we've built. You'll have a plunge pool on your stoop as well, and very private. The old rooms. What we were trying to do with the new rooms is to fix all the problems that we had with the old rooms, and one of them was privacy. So the new rooms are a lot further apart, and they're also orientated that you've got privacy, and you've got your own plunge pool on your deck as well. So you will enjoy it, I promise you.
I'm sure we will. Fritz, let's move to anything else on Nguma. What has this truck got to do with you? But I see you are teaming up with Stefan from Belvedance this very moment.
No, but he's got to pay. He has to pay. We had last year on Nguma, we had a lot of rain, so we had a lot of grass. And there's still a drought in the south of Namibia. So we just decided to send them some grass. Eventually, we tie this up with a program that we had because our APU units totally dependent. Well, let me go 2 steps back. We've got a lot of black rhino on Nguma, and we've got a full-time APU unit to look after them. And they got their funding from the lodges. So with the lodges closing down or standing still, we launched a program. It's almost like a crowdfunding program where we told the people if they support the APU unit or the crowdfunding program, we will supply grass to the south. So we shipped, I think, 3 of those truckloads to the south, and we raised about $80,000 Namibian through the crowdfunding campaign to assist the APU guys. But yeah, well, there's just something good to do.
Going forward, you are actually thinking that some of your guides will be part of the anti-poaching unit, and with that you would give a lot of depth to any guiding experience as part of Nguma. Are you going forward with that? Yeah,
we found that there's a bit of a disconnect between the guides in the vehicles and the APU guys. Because they almost operate in a parallel universe, they don't really talk to each other. So our plan is now to put them under the APU management. Also, that'll give them an opportunity to get out in the veld and also be much more involved with the animals on the ground level. And then those guides would then also take guests into Etosha. Obviously not, they should function as proper guides as well, but there will be a lot more depth in their knowledge in terms of what happens on the ground. On a day-to-day basis on Nguma as well.
I think that will add a lot of depth and knowledge to any kind of experience at Nguma. Fritz, what have got happy ladies and carrots to do with Nguma? Tell us about it. I think this is a project which is hardly known in the industry, and yet so such a fantastic project you're running.
Essentially, Oshivelo farming was established on the corner of Nguma. We cut out 500 hectares of Nguma, and we went into partnership with a very good Namibian farmer. And the aim was to create jobs for the people. So it's now become one of the bigger vegetable farming producers in Namibia. They supply vegetables to Namibia. I think they're probably the biggest carrot supplier in Namibia at the moment. They supply jobs to about, depending on the season, but between 200 and 300 people. And it's an area where it's really impoverished. It's in the Oshivelo area where there are no other jobs. And it's also, if people have work and they can earn a living, they don't have to steal and they don't have to poach. So it's a situation where all parties win, so to speak. And again, the idea was we didn't start the project to put a slide up and tell the world about it. We started the project to better their lives.
Well, I said right at the start that you and your whole family, the Foster family, is a very humble family. Thank you what you're doing for the whole of Namibia there. Let's move a little bit back to the product. I think, Fritz, you're the only ones in the whole world who's got a hide that has got zebra stripes. Is there a reason behind it, your photographic hide? Yeah, if you see it once, you'll never forget it. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic answer. Very, very clear. For all those of you listening to us, Nguma very often has resident photographers. So if there's any cooperation that springs to mind, any ideas you have, please always contact us. The hide is serviced, and obviously you can see great opportunity to actually take fantastic pictures. Fritz, you know that I'm a Toyota Land Cruiser addict, and I know I can still recognize the car, but what the hell are you doing here? Are you
Ella,
that thing?
Maybe you should go. That was the current status about a month ago. But maybe if you go to the next slide, let's work backwards. It'll be clearer. Okay, this is I refer to that as a batshit crazy idea. And the idea was conceived one night next to a waterhole with a bunch of tour operators and too many gin and tonics on the roof of a game viewer. And one of them said, I think it was the American agent said, listen, it'll be lovely to sleep here. And they said, okay, well, let's build something to sleep there. So the concept is basically it'll be sold as an activity. This vehicle will be set up at a private waterhole. It's a fully pre-set up activity. The guests would arrive there, and they would then spend the night in and on the vehicle. So on top of the vehicle is a sleeping facility, obviously with a mosquito net, and then in the back of the vehicle is a full bathroom where you can have a shower and a flush toilet, and it's contained. It's fully contained. The next morning, they would go back to the lodge, and this vehicle will be taken back to the facilities. So it's a pretty hardcore experience. We have an auction going at the moment for the first people to use it, and there's some serious money on the table. So I'm not sure if someone wants to put in an offer there.
I'm not sure I can afford it, but I would definitely go. I'm on my way to Namibia, hopefully, if we are allowed. Yeah. Fritz, that basically brings us very close to the end of the Onguma presentation already. I saw on Facebook that you signed up to Tour Safe Africa. So obviously you are accredited, your team is ready and all set to go.
Yeah, we've been open for the Namibian public now for about 2 months, 3 months. So we, the guys know what to do. We know the drill, so to speak. Yeah, and we're ready. I mean, we started having our first international guests as well. But yeah, we can't wait to have more.
You are definitely moving forward. Fritz, thank you very much. Once more, all the best to your family. Thank you for being with us this afternoon, and makes it very special for me. And we are moving on from Onguma. We're going to a region which is very, very far away from everything. We're moving into the Coca-Veld, and I'm waiting for Marco Ferrero to come online and to be with me in the next couple of minutes.
Hi, Helen. Thank you.
There. Thank you very much. Right. There's one sentence I have to say. The Kaokaland, the Okaronga Lodge is where the world can't find you. And I know to the team in the Netherlands who are using the sentence, I thank you for allowing me to use the sentence for this presentation this afternoon. And yes, for sharing it with me. Thank you very much. And I think where the world can't find you is the most suiting statement we can actually have for the Kaokaveld, and why this is actually an absolutely perfect area in Namibia to spend your time during your trip, your holiday during COVID times. Let me welcome Marco. And Marco, tell us why this area is so special.
Thank you, Hella. I'll try to be very quick. We've been listening to so many important things that I will consider a great success if I can tell only one thing that can be remembered. So I will stick to very few points, maybe one or two. We are indeed in a very remote area. It's one of the most untouched places in the world. We are about 12 hours driving from Windhoek, the first lodge, and another 6 hours driving from the Elephant Lodge for the river camp, or 3 hours flying in. So we are remote, and we are in a very untouched area because of distances and because of the desert that is protecting this beautiful place. Okairongo lodges are what I like to call a James Bond location, meaning that they are this strange and beautiful mixture of luxury in the middle of nowhere and in pure nature. But what I wanted to talk about today was not Lucia and Rosella, but if you want me to talk about them, I will briefly. These are the owners and the beginners of the Okairongo companies. They fell in love with Namibia over 20 years ago, and they decided to build this extraordinary adventure in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Rosella is coming from the fashion industry, and Lucia is coming from the food industry. They both have a particular taste in fine Italian culture and visuals qualities. So I think this thing are reflected in the lodge themselves. But I don't know if you put the now, don't make me speak about this boring thing. I think people can find this thing in the website. I want to speak about the Rocky Man.
Of Okairongo having gone very better, a lot better in 2.5 hours up from Sesfontein.
Do you have a slide on the Rocky Man?
You want to? Okay, we're quickly moving through the product, and I think I know where Marco wants me to go. That is the river camp. Really a moving landscape. So we're talking about this.
I want to talk about this.
Got to do.
Yes. This is one of the latest activities we are focusing on, and is something that I think it would be very important for the Namibian travel industry altogether. These are beautiful pieces of art that started to appear in the Kaokoland area in the last years, and is something that can become an highlight of Namibia tourism. I think it can be a great drive for the industry altogether, especially in this moment that we have to come out of this pandemic and find new reasons to travel, new urge to travel. And I do think that this may be a great motivational. We are in a beautiful area where we have beautiful landscape, we have animals, we have great service of hospitality. But what I really wanted to talk about is this. I like to call it the Banksy of the desert. Why the Banksy of the desert? For those of you who don't know Banksy is maybe the most important and famous street artist in the world. He started to do street art in England, in Bristol, and I don't know if you can see my screen, if I share it. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet? Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know these stencils, the one with the little girl and the heart flying away, or the one with the guy throwing what it looks to be a Molotov, but indeed is a flower. Those kind of art, which is very intimate, is talking about the human struggle, is talking about emotions, human emotions. And the particularity of Banksy is that nobody knows who he is anonymous, as is the author of the Rocky Mans in the Kaokoland. So I think this is the kind of desert art, street art like that our prospective travelers may be willing to see in the future. So it's something that we will definitely push as Okairongo, but I think is a piece of the tourism offer that was missing, and then it can be used now and can be something that is pivotal for the development of the market.
Thank you very much, Marco. Now let me try to get back into my presentation. Oh, okay. I just need to move down. I didn't expect this quite. Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry if I mess up with your presentation.
No, it's good. I just have to take a deep breather and then I'll be there. Just bear with me 1 second.
I can also talk about the other things, but I thought I cut through so you can move on.
Marco, I'm grateful that you did that, because we are running late in time and we still got quite a while to go. So I'm letting you walk off into a very good future past COVID. Thank you very much, Marco, for joining us.
Thank you.
And I'm welcoming Stefan Horst-Hemke from Shiwani. Stefan is a fairly new face to us in the tourism industry, and a lot of you have not met him. Stefan, are you online? Are you there?
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Thank you for joining us. Stefan, we see here a picture of Andre Lowe, and I think everybody in the industry knows this fiery and bubbly person of Andre, with lots of enthusiasm, etc. But hardly anybody knows you. You're a complete newcomer. So tell us about your relationship to Andre and what have you got to do with the whole thing?
So Andre is my father-in-law. I've been married since 2011 and actually got married at Onguma at the fort. Yeah, I decided to join into the business just over a year ago. So my timing was impeccable. Yeah, I got to see the good side of tourism and the not so good side of tourism. But yeah, that is how I fit in. I've basically taken over the management role of the company and the lodges in Damaraland.
Thank you, Stefan. Now, Shiwani, what does Shiwani mean? I remember that it was ITB time in March this year, and I was supposed to introduce the name of Shiwani to the industry. Well, the rest of ITB and all of that is history, so now you do it.
Yeah, so yeah, when I joined the company, I mean, Visions of Africa is still yeah, branded in most of the people's minds. And then for certain financial reasons and tax reasons, Andre started the Shiwani Business Trust. And from an email and branding point of view, you still had your visions, you had a CVT, and we were also looking at building another lodge in Damaraland. And I felt we just needed a better brand out there, and we basically then from Shiwani Business Trust we came up with just let's brand everything correctly and get everything in order. I guess that's a bit of my German side behind me. Then we decided to go with Shiwani Safari Camps, and Mowani and Kipu would fall under that, and the potential new lodge that we wanted to build would also fall under Shiwani Safari Camps. So that's how we got to Shiwani, and we did a bit of rebranding, which my wife Andrea, or the daughter of Andre, did for us.
Thank you very much. Let's quickly have a look at the product. Mowani is obviously absolutely ideally suited for COVID travel with all the various suites and luxury rooms you have.
Yeah, so we've firstly they spaced quite far apart, all of the rooms, which is a pro and a con. For the not so young people, they have to walk a bit further, but you've got your own privacy, and especially our bigger units, you can do your own private dining if you wish. We had quite a bit of plans before the COVID, We've executed some of them. I think we'll see some of the slides later. But yeah, it's a it's a ideal place to come and just enjoy the vast openness, and also I don't think COVID stands a chance in Damaraland, especially during the day.
There was actually talk of the third lodge. You mentioned it yourself just now, and I suppose looking back now, you're very, very glad that you didn't build the third lodge, since you also come from the financial world. You know exactly what that means. But some of the plans, what you had in mind, you also were able to pull through during this COVID time. So this is a new construction at Moani. Tell us quickly what this is all about, Stefan.
So we've always been bugged to have a smoking area for the smokers, and we finally found a spot suited well enough, and it's actually quite a nice spot, not only for the smokers but for the non-smokers also, just to sit and relax, enjoy a bit of view. There's usually always a breeze in this area, and we still have to put up a nice sign, but we decided to call it the cigar lounge instead of the smokers area, because it really is a bit of a lounge. This is still in raw state, but we've put some nice cushions in there, and it's really comfy. It's a really nice spot at the lodge.
And I think your family realized that COVID was coming, so you opened up the space of the restaurant.
Yeah, so we've got a nice, beautiful outside dining deck area, which we added to the restaurant. It's really lovely in the morning for breakfast, and this picture you see is a nice morning picture. And if the wind does allow us, we have great evening dinners there as well. And it just opened up the space. So with the limited amount of rooms, we really have the social distancing that is required during these times. And like I mentioned earlier, you can also dine at your room, do some private dining if you wish. We have equipped the mini suite, our mountain suite, and our luxury room with private telephones and Wi-Fi. So you can really just cocoon yourself in the room if you want to, or you can come join us in the dining area. It's up to the guests. The experience we've had until now is guests like the dining deck outside.
Let's move. Yeah, this is one of the favorite pictures. I think Moani has probably one of the best sundowner spots in Namibia. I know I'm going to be killed somewhere along the line, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think every Namibian would say they've got the best sundowner spot. But I think this is a really unique spot. I was up there just last week carrying on with some construction, and one of my good friends actually came to visit me, and he has been an avid traveler, and he actually confirmed it. So and I'm going to be lynched now, but I think it's one of the best in Namibia.
Yeah, we give that credit to Moani, I think. Stefan, let's move over to Camp Kipwe. I know you also had some plans there. How far are you with your plans at Camp Kipwe, or what is coming? Let's focus on what is coming.
So Camp Kipwe is quite much smaller than Moani. What we've added now is an extra dining deck, which is already up and standing. And we are also looking at doing a bigger wine cellar area where you can also do some private dining in there. We had some more plans to add 2 more suites at the lodge and increase the deck at the swimming pool, but we've halted that for now due to these uncertain times. So we just want to see where we're going, but those would be some future plans. How they will materialize will depend on the future. But I think the good addition is the additional dining deck. And I think the wine cellar, once it is completed, will also look really great.
Wine cellar, times. I think, Stefan, not much has changed on your activities, so we can move past this quite quickly. And I know actually all of you decide the fact that internally Namibia has decided that you can have more people on a car again. I think Classic Namibia has decided to keep to the COVID number of people on a car.
Yeah, that is correct. So we will do a maximum of 6 people per vehicle, although it could take 11 people, including the driver. But yeah, so we stick strictly to 6. Unless you've got a bigger family, we can obviously take the whole family along. But it's at the moment restricted to 6 per vehicle.
Okay. You're slowly moving towards sustainability as well. So this is your first solar water pump.
Yeah, so we used to, I think the slide will come now. We used to pump water for Mowani with a generator. So we've moved away from that and are now pumping solely with the solar. So in the background, behind the solar, you can see there's a little container where the generator still stands today just as a backup in case there would be any clouds, which is probably almost never in Damaraland. But one never knows. We all know Murphy, so we've got it there as backup, but we've been pumping with solar for quite a while now already. And it works really well.
First happy guests at Mowani. I'm glad you had guests already. This morning I got a message that you received another booking from Germany. Thank you to that tour operator who did that booking. So more coming your way. Stefan, thank you very much. And we saw this picture earlier. I think this is one of the best COVID suited rooms you can possibly have in Namibia. With all this intoxicating oxygen that can come into the Mowani room there. Stefan, thank you very much. And yeah, if anybody would like to have more contact with Stefan, please, we are happy to provide this contact. Stefan is new to the industry, so but always open to listen and to take our advice and also the advice from the market. Thank you very much, Stefan. And we move to the coast eventually, to the Swakopmund guest house and to Leander. Leander, are you there?
Hello.
Are you with me? Leander, what is so special about Swakopmund? What is the relation you have with Swakopmund and the Swakopmund guest house?
Well, okay, Swakopmund, of course, is a bottleneck as far as coming from Sossusvlei area going up to the northwest. But yeah, it was actually part of the building was part, my grandma actually lived there. And then at some stage, my dad had somebody was renting in front in a little house, and he was always complaining that he's not getting enough rent. This is like 15 years ago. And then I said, well, you know, we can develop a guest house, I'll pay you the rent. And then he was not too excited about that. And then anyway, 2-3 years later, we actually did it, and I developed the guest house. So yeah, my parents' house is still behind it. Yeah, so that's the special connection. It's a bit of a family history, yeah.
And who's actually the face of Swakopmund guest house if clients walk in?
Well, we have my sister there, Christiane, or Muki, as we call her, but Christiane is her official name. Yeah, she lived in Germany for about 15 years or longer. And then when the guest house was finished, she said, oh, yeah, I am. Can I have a job? And I said, okay. So she came back with her 2 kids, and she's been running it ever since. So yeah, I think that's one of the strong points of the Swakopmund guest house, that there's really a family member there every day. And of course, Jackie is the second in command, and the staff have been there for almost 10 years, most of them or longer. So I think that is, this is very much hands-on, reservations, everything, decision-making. I think that's a little bit unique at the guest house.
And I think you kept Swakopmund guest house open during all these last few months.
Yes, we kept it open. Sometimes, obviously, for a week or so, or 2 weeks, there was nobody there, but we didn't retrench anybody. We kept everybody on board on reduced salaries, of course. But, you know, they came in 2 or 3 times a week, cleaning things and so on. So basically, we've stayed open, but also the other properties that I own, for those that don't know, West Guest House and Sesfontein, same thing. We didn't retrench anybody. In fact, we were actually still continuing to build, and we added a few more rooms, and we started sleep outs, and I finished a sort of glamping campsite out of Windhoek here. So we were quite active, keeping busy. And yeah, I think if you don't mothball something, it's much easier to start again. So that's what we did. That's what I decided. Just keep everybody on reduced salaries and hope for this madness to end.
You, when I think of you, Leander, I immediately see you on a bicycle with burnt lips or with a burnt bald head or whatever, but you're always active, you're always sporty. And I think this reflects also the activities you organize for your guests when they are at the Swakopmund Guest House.
Yes, not just there. I mean, also at West and at Sesfontein. I mean, the whole cycling thing. We've got e-fat bikes, electronic fat bikes that you can go into the riverbeds. All the activities, rhino tracking, so on. And in Swakop, we take them with fat bikes on the beach or into the dunes or whatever. But I think it's key, actually, and I think most people know this already, and Tinola and them stressed it quite nicely. It's all about activity, experiential, or not what do you say? Experience is what tourism is about these days. You know, the sleep out, the special breakfast, something different, not luxury and all of that. Of course, we also want that and we want to sell that. But that little bit of effort, I mean, like at Swakopmund Guest House, we'll start with, you know, like a private breakfast on the beach now. You know, we organize that for them. So just these little things that we as establishments, or rhino trekking on foot and sleeping out in the Hornip and so on. Special things that you can't just book online or somewhere else. And I think if that's what we as tour operators sell, then we have reason to exist for many, many years.
Okay, so Leander, you're obviously on your route to sanity here. This is how I visualize you when I think of you. And
yeah, I mean, in these times, we were obviously, the beautiful flowers there at Kleinhaus Vista in the south, went there to visit Pete and them. Most of the people know him. The flowers, they were just as far as you could see. I mean, he's lived there all his life, and they've never been this good, because they had for 2 weeks or something a little bit of winter rain. And then I went up to the Kunene with my sister, exploring new routes for nature friends, cycling with the fat bikes past crocodiles and stuff like that. And I went down on a little exploration trip down the Omaruru all the way to Mund for stuff that we want to offer from West Guest House and so on. So yeah, we did obviously we try and be active and explore things and keep busy. And
I think you found that.
You know.
And there's your first happy guest at Swakopmund Guest House.
There's a picture somewhere. We've had a few, actually. We've had 16 people last week, and we've had people other places as well, and we're getting some last minute bookings in now. We've actually got 2 sets of people coming next week, Monday and Wednesday, from different places. So it's slowly starting to burn again, which is, I mean, very little, not dead.
Light at the end of the tunnel. Leon,
yes.
Very much joining us from Swakopmund Guest House, and now we're heading over to Volvedans. Stefan, it's time for you to unmute, and if you wanted to take over the presentation.
Yeah, okay, let me, hi everybody.
So basically, whilst you get your systems going, the world has not heard from you or from Volvedans during the last few months, but you have certainly gone into hibernation and you've come up with incredible things, and you are driving the vision of your father most certainly forward. And this vision is actually of such magnitude that I can do no other but simply to hand over to you personally. Stefan, are you ready?
Hella, thank you. No, I'm not ready. I think you said something nice, but I was focusing on getting my presentation going.
It's perfect. It was nice. It was nice.
yeah, it doesn't, you don't see it, right?
I see it. We see it.
You see the map.
Yes. We see.
Okay, is it filling
the cursor
green?
moving.
Okay, good. Let me start. So my talk is going to be a little bit taking a little bit of a different format, but here we go. So I'm gonna go into the past a little bit, and then we are obviously looking at the present, and then I primarily focus on the future. I picked up this line, life is a bridge, the past, present, and future, and it has sort of become a guiding thread. So for those who don't know, Namibia Nature Reserve is a private large landscape conservation area started by my father in the early 1980s. So that's about 35 years ago. And the aim was really conservation. Back then there was no tourism. There was a campsite at Sesrim, and bus coach tourists stayed at the Maltahöhe Hotel. So that's what tourism was back then. And it wasn't on the cards. But then as the reserve was sort of growing from 30,000 hectares to 150,000 hectares, it obviously needed some kind of income, and that was going to be tourism. And the nature reserve today comprises 17 farms. It's about 210,000 hectares big. It's owned by trusts, individuals, companies, and importantly, Namibia Nature Reserve is a non-profit. And there is a number of tourism operations that do their own business, but they collect a park fee on behalf of the reserve. So I was called home 25 or 26 years ago with the task to develop a tourism product in this desert paradise. And seeing that we have these dunes, I was quite adamant to do something in the dunes. This was our first Wolvedans dune camp. Everybody told me that it is not possible to do a structure in the dunes because it would look like Coleman's Kop in no time. So 25 years later, we are still on top of the dunes. The purpose of Wolvedans from the word go was really to earn income for conservation, and that credo is still in our DNA from day one. And the next slide is quite impressive. Since we started, we collected in excess of 27 million Namibia dollars for conservation. This is an impressive graph because you can see that the previous crises we had to deal with, like the Lehman crisis and Ebola, which caused a major shock with occupancies dropping in our case by 25–30%. Well, that was obviously a complete amuse-bouche, or pre-starter compared to that red triangle up there where our income has dropped to zero since April. This graph is also worthwhile sharing. So if you go to 2016, you see our net profit after tax and the levies we collected. And in 2017, I decided we need some form of income for the Wolvedans Foundation, which over the last 10 years has really grown to become a force of good, but it lacked a constant flow of funds. And instead of going out there begging for money, which is something we sort of will do in the next 12 months, we decided instead, on top of the park fee, every guest is going to pay a foundation levy, and that's 2017. And you can see that our business then was sort of well in balance. Seeing that nobody complained and guests were happy to pay something extra for something good, which incidentally was pointed out on the invoice as a separate line item and not commissionable, we decided let's push the envelope a bit and introduce a sustainability levy on top of it. And in 2018, you can see that our business model is now coming out of balance because money collected for good causes is significantly more than what we pocket net. And 2019, a similar picture. Our net profit was quite low because we spent about 2 million for our renovations. Still staying with history, Wolverdans, I think, as most know, has been driven by sustainability from the word go. And it came as no surprise that we were selected as one of 20 shortlisted operations in Southern Africa to become a founding member of the Long Run. And the Long Run is a global sustainability network of conservation and tourism enterprises. We had a workshop in London and devised the 4C business model. The 4Cs, we'll get to that later. And Wolverdans became the third Long Run global ecosphere retreat accredited operation. And this is really currently, if you do some research, sort of the Rolls-Royce of sustainability credentials. So I think in that department, we've done absolutely fantastic. And my colleagues and some agents, you know, they sometimes were a bit concerned that my focus is more on sustainability and making the world a better place than actually running a product and looking after it. So that was the situation 2 years ago. And then something else happened in our region, and that is that there were just so many new lodges popping up. And normally that all happened at Sossusvlei, and Wolverdans and Damme-Brand Nature Reserve is not Sossusvlei, that's very important. So as long as it all happened up there, everybody squeezing through the Sesrim gate, I couldn't be phased too much, but then we had competition on our doorstep and beyond, through tens of millions into the revamp of the desert lodge. We had Cressy Dunes, which just opened, there's Desert Hills, there's Sonop further south. So it got to a point where I got a bit worried. And adding to that, all these trends that were looming out there, you know, paradigm shifts, Greta Thunberg, climate change. So it became quite evident for me that something is changing, and we better change as well. And there is an interesting concept by author Charles Handy. It's called the second curve, and it basically says, you know, you start, you grow, and if you don't launch yourself into a second curve, you might go down. Look at Nokia and Kodak and other companies. So we planned a major workshop end of March, which we themed changing into fifth gear. And we basically had 5 themes there. The one was a major revamp of all our camps and our service delivery, the software. Then we wanted to create a new understanding with our team to really understand that the client is the essence of why we are here. Then we wanted to shift from passive consumption, sort of the old tourism or travel paradigm, to active participation, because I got a bit tired of this, like, you know, take me to the best spots, bring it on, just eating, sitting around. So become more active, which then meant we had to re-engineer our whole activity spectrum, which we divided into activities for the head, the hand, and the heart. We'll get to that later. Then the fifth C, we added consciousness into our sustainability mix. And then this might sound a bit far-fetched, but we introduced balance as our absolute core value of Wolverdans, in addition to transparency and harmony, and we added happiness as the new purpose. So far, so good. Then COVID hit, and yeah, coming back to the revamp, this is the Dune Camp, Humble Beginnings. We started with our revamp sort of in November last year. This time, Boulder started much earlier. This is the lodge about a year ago. So we expanded the rooms. We put in subdecks. The Dune Camp, where it all started with those 4 igloos, got a major revamp. And in fact, I'm happy to tell you that since 1 week, we've got a team of 12 artisans that are now getting on with it. Dune Camp got every room will get a sleep out and an outside bathroom. And I was up there today with some potential film people, and I stood there and I thought, you know, if I had known now or back then what I know now, we would probably not have gone so fancy. But this is going to be very fancy, very beautiful, and still maintaining that down-to-earth Volvo dance feel. This is the interior of Boulders. Some of the ladies that advised me in the travel trade kept on telling me that Boulders is too masculine and too safari-ish. It needs a bit of a feminine touch. Well, there you go. Very soft, very, yeah, I think it's beautiful. I would probably also enjoy staying there. Yeah, so that was the camps. This is just a picture of our new Volvo Dance organogram. We call it Planet Volvo Dance. So you see the guest in the heart of things. And then we just turned it around from your classic hierarchical pyramid. Here you've got your frontline staff, your guides, your housekeepers, your waiters, bushman trackers, so on, that are really surrounding the client. In the second ring, you have all these support functions like prep kitchens, maintenance, mechanics, laundry, etc. The next ring is our senior management, and Stefan Brückner is sort of orbiting around this very lively planet. And the idea is that our staff really gets a new appreciation of the importance of the guest, and that this is actually one of our key purposes. Coming to head, hand, heart. So we basically recrafted our activities. Head is everything to do with conservation, sustainability, astronomy. So it's all the intellectual stuff which people get all the time, but it's not enough. We feel you should do something with your hand as well, which is not only going active like e-biking and horse riding, but also really physically doing something with your hands, like pottering or making leather crafts or working in the garden and getting your hands dirty. And heart is obviously the arts. I think of Marco, you know, those wonderful sculptures. It's music, it's literature, etc. So I mentioned that a very conscious shift away from passive consumption towards active participation. This was incidentally one of the most awesome sunsets, Stefan, I experienced at Volvo Dance during the lockdown. And we have some horse riders there going on a wonderful sunset ride. In terms of doing something with your hands, an activity we start next year is either a half day or a full day horticulture course where you will learn all about composting and earthworms and companion planting. And then you will have lunch in our wonderful new greenhouse. Another hand activity which interconnects to heart is planting a tree. So our guests in the future can adopt a tree and actually physically plant it. And then importantly, they can leave their mark by stenciling their name by hand onto a brass plate, which is planted next to the tree. It's also a wonderful opportunity to stay in touch with guests, because we will then obviously send them an annual update. Another thing, yeah, we also realized is that the time to start offering retreats has really come. And so we are exploring probably 4 different types. The one is a family retreat, couple retreats, obviously photography, because Namibia is just a visual utopia, and others. And we are actually looking forward to do something together with Namibia, because the contrast of where we are and where they are couldn't be more. So yeah, and then obviously the whole issue of disconnect to reconnect. We are busy setting up a Wi-Fi lounge at every of our camps, and we really want people to only do that dirty stuff there and not in the lounges, not in their rooms. So we are really going away from Wi-Fi all the time. And going slow. You know, I'm even before COVID, I was actually sick and tired of having people here for one night that rush from Fish River Canyon to Namwa in 2 weeks. And we are looking at really minimum stays of 2 nights, preferably 3, potentially even 4, or a week. So yeah, all looked good, all looked very balanced, and then the shit hit the fan, and my word cloud looked something like this. Really confused, and yeah, worried, scared, what's gonna happen. And then I decided to go into quarantine, and I went there. That is the very unfamous, but actually super famous Chateau Namib. It's a tiny little recluse on the western parts of Wolvedans. And that's where I tried to make sense of it all and get, you know, ready for the future. So this whole clutter, after 3 months of work, by the way, I didn't stay at the chateau. I stayed at the Wolvedans village. But all this clutter and all these trends and ideas and so ended up in what we now call our Wolvedans Vision 2030 and the Matrix 25. And I will go into that because I think it's very exciting. So in April, May, it was one big, in Afrikaans, we have a wonderful word, Dier Mekaar. And now towards the end of October, it's a very structured, very clear idea where we are going. So we used this time to reboot. In terms of construction and renovations, we actually really went into hibernation. We only started that process last week because I said, you know, stuff that no matter what comes next year, we can't just sit on and idle in terms of progress. So, but I personally used the last 3 months to reboot. And the outcome of that is a very bold Wolvedans Vision 2030, which we themed the Arid Eden project. And I'm going to take you through the Arid Eden project, which will define our journey. This is very precise, so I will read it
up a little bit. Sorry, Stefan. Try to be as precise as you possibly can. We're on 2 hours now. Okay.
Okay, in a nutshell, the Arid Eden project is the framework for the Wolvedans Vision 2030 and provides a cohesive theme and identity of our journey ahead. Underpinned by a business philosophy of balancing people, planet, and profit, it could become a practical blueprint for building back better, more sustainable and equitable tourism conservation economies, not only in Namibia, but globally. In addition to driving change and inspiring a new way, the Arid Eden project is also about the pursuit of happiness. Happy people, guests, team, and stakeholders alike, a happy and healthy environment with all its living creatures, and importantly, a happy bottom line. And with this new vision and with an end to my 6-month hibernation, this is sort of our new message and our first communication getting out there. So the whole thing is based on the interconnectedness of the 5 C's, and sustainability is really driving Wolvedans. I'll give you a short input. This is our new logo for the Arid Eden project. I'm not going into detail, but it's a very meaningful logo that relates to the Hoodia plant and a burst of energy and light and growth and resilience. And this is our Arid Eden project logo. So the first C is consciousness. It's basically creating with our guests and also with ourselves like a higher sense of awareness. There's a wonderful German word, Bewusstsein, about everything. You know, how we live, what we do, how we consume, what we eat, where water comes from, how energy works. All these things we want to make people conscious about. The next C is conservation, which obviously is the large landscape conservation, but it also entails aspects like energy, water, wastewater, your waste management. So that's dealt with under conservation. The third C is community, which basically entails what you plow back into the community. And as long runners, we feel it's got to be more than paying people a salary and paying your compulsory levies to communities or so, or to government. It's really what you do over and above the standard requirements. And then obviously commerce is our driving force, the engine. That is our collection of camps. That's where the money is made. And yeah, we have got some plans, but I think there's not enough time for that. And then we've got culture, which basically entails celebrating cultural diversity, which is especially important in Namibia and beautiful. It also entails aspects like the arts, music, culture, food, etc. And I'll quickly give you some examples. We started a few years ago with a Heart and Home Village tour. It's a peek view behind the scenes of our operations. We cover water, energy, and it's becoming a very interesting activity. I'm going to skip this slide. This was a workshop 2 weeks ago where we staged our first incubation lab at Wolvedaan. So at least there's some visitors, albeit not paying tourists. Conservation, the big one here is really that we are embarking on a very bold vision to double the size of Namibia over the next 10 to 20 years. And this eastern block here is where we are looking at. We have already secured 4 farms, and Wolvedaan is very keen to get a foot onto this land in the east. Why we do that? It's to stop this. We still have a lot of fences in the area and animals get trapped there. And this picture here at the bottom left shows you the difference between a nature reserve, rangeland, and sheep farm next door. Under conservation, we are planning to go 100% solar by the end of 2021, and we are really on good track. So that will be a milestone. We are looking at ways to reduce carbon, so we are phasing out our fuel guzzling Land Rovers and rather go for less carbon intensive things. I always ask myself whether we need these 36 big cars in the future. This is going to be a signature experience in Wolvedaan. It's e-fat bikes on top of the dunes. It's the most exhilarating experience you can do. If you're not fit enough, you just cycle on the road. Wolvedaan has very much invested into horticulture. This is our new greenhouse where we not only provide the veggies for our own operation, but actually also for export to our neighboring lodges. And we also want to embark with horticulture training next year. So I'm very happy that this structure was finished before COVID hit, otherwise it would not have happened. Then we've got the Arid Eden Tree Project. So we're looking at planting 365 trees, which will be adopted by people here and beyond. It's a wonderful cash generator for the foundation. The Desert Academy has, in the last 10 years, graduated 250 young Namibians in the field of hospitality. We are looking at, as I said, horticulture next year. In 2021, 22, we want to offer facility maintenance. Just to give you an idea, that project will require funding in the tune of 30 million. Now we come to culture. So that's a nice example of landscape art at Boulders. It's a project in the making, almost done. Another wonderful culture project is the Desert Symphony Humankind that was composed in Wolvedaan 18 months ago and is going to premiere when COVID is over. And yeah, so I think what you sense is that this is another wonderful event. We stage once a year the Wolvedaan Culture Festival. Obviously, it hasn't happened this year. And that shows you that Wolvedaan is a very holistic sort of concept and really more than a collection of camps. And there you see my old man, and for him it was all about conservation. And I think for the next 25 years, Wolvedaan wants to build on this fantastic conservation foundation and make human development and growth actually the purpose of Wolvedaan. And yes, the pursuit of happiness. So that is our new vision statement. And as Nelson Mandela aptly said, it's always impossible until it's done. And we've got a very bold vision ahead of us, but I think it's a beautiful vision, and it will certainly stand us in good stead. And I'm looking forward to the next 25 years, or let's make it the next 10 post-COVID. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Won't you just please do me a favor and move on to the next slide? On yours, yes.
There you go.
All right, thank you very much. I would like to thank all our guests for their absolute patience. We've done 2 hours. I still see about 60 members listening to us approximately. Thank you to everybody at Classic Namibia, and I think you realize that with Classic Namibia you also you have great support for the industry, and you've got a reliable product, and let's have a look. I think there's 1 or 2 questions which still need to be answered. Petra and Amelia, can I have your assistance, please?
Yes, there is a question for Fritz.
Fritz, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here, Yella.
Okay. There's a question. If you open the question and answer box, there's a question you can answer.
Which one is it, Petra? Can you read?
She's
still in German or is it in English? We won't be able to.
It's in English. It's in English.
Is that the question from Bettina Kuhler?
Yeah. I hope she's still with us.
No, she's not, but don't.
Oh.
Just have to sign off.
Game drives, we do game drives on Nguma itself. We do a lot of game drives into Etosha as well. Very little elephants, big game. There is a lot of big game on Nguma. You don't see them all the time because they go where they want to. They're not fenced in. We currently have, I think, 5 elephants on Nguma that's free roaming. So it's a combination. I mean, you can find them on Nguma, but you will. I cannot guarantee that because they essentially go where they want to. I think the reason why there's a lot of games that drives are going to Etosha is because people come to see Etosha. If you want to see the big game on Nguma, you will see them.
Thank you.
I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I think so, and I'll be in touch with Tina afterwards as well. Any other questions we need to attend to, Petra and Amelia?
No. All other questions have been answered already.
Thank you very much for the great work behind the scenes, Petra, and to my colleague Amelia. Thank you very much. I had to fully focus on the conversation here. Sorry, I couldn't be to your assistance. Yeah. Let's close the round. I know Matthias says goodbye to everybody. Thank you, great thank you to ASA, to the Namibian Tourism Board, and obviously to the industry and to all my partners. And I wish all of you a very nice evening. Maybe some of you have still got a beer. And please remember, our door is always open and you will get more information tomorrow or the day thereafter. Thank you very much for joining. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So I'm stopping now the recording. Bye-bye.